Alrighty, y'all, so welcome back to another video. I appreciate you guys for giving me another shot. And this is a brand called Stio. It's a brand in Jackson Hole, Wyoming. A bit of focus in, there it is. But anyway, I first found this brand in Oregon probably about 3 or 4 years ago, and I found this lightweight vest right here down at the Goodwill Bins here in Tennessee. It sold pretty quick, I would say under about 30 days for 30 plus shipping. And this is, I know it's a vest, but it's super light. It probably costs 50 cents. All right, so here's something that you may or may not have a ton of competition on if you're sourcing at a place like the Goodwill Bins. This is a fraternity sweatshirt. The brand is from Port & Company. They make like a lot of just fleeces and sweatshirts. But anyway, found this one for it's probably under, let's just call it $3 to be conservative. And it sold for $18.74 plus $9 shipping, and that probably only took, I would say, less than 2 months. So this is a Goodyear puffer jacket. Here is a little bit of the logo, and it's pretty, I mean, it's not, probably like, maybe like, let's just call it $3. Here's the logo on the back. And I've had this one for it's probably coming up on the year mark, because I think I found this one at the Goodwill Bins in Nashville, one of the older locations. I go to the one that's hadn't been around as long as the first one, and I was going over there for like the first week, and then I've kind of switched over to the location that I've been consistent at over the course of the last year. But I found this one over there, and so it's been a while. It's been like a year, give or take. But it sold for 20 plus shipping, and it's headed back out to the West Coast. So this is an item that I haven't been able to give away, and it's kind of funny because it's new with tags, and I think it's a pretty desirable item, especially all the winters that's passed. I think I bought this one down at the Goodwill Bins when we lived in Oregon. It was either in 2022 or 2023, so it's been a minute. And initially when I picked these up, I thought I would have sold those that same exact year during the winter season, but they've just sat and sat and sat. So finally somebody offered 20 plus shipping, and after all these times I probably would have took 15, maybe even 10 just to get rid of these. But anyway, they probably cost like right around like $3, and I'm just happy that they're gone. All right, so another item that you're probably not going to have a ton of competition for, and this is, believe it or not, this is probably one of my best selling items. When I find this item, usually it's gone under 2 weeks, and it's just a basic Waffle House employee button up, and I believe this one is a men's 2X. And found this one down at the Goodwill Bins. It's dirt floor cheap, under $1, and it sold right away for 16 plus, I think it's like $7 shipping. All right, so this is a Nashville Zoo sweatshirt. We actually just went to the zoo last month, and we bought the membership because when you have a large family, it makes more sense economically to get the membership, because usually you're only spending a little bit more, and then you can go for an entire year. Kind of a bizarre story when we were there. I wore my Oregon Duck hat, and I noticed that I kept making eye contact with this guy. And so we ran into him for the second time, and then he finally came up to me, and he was like, "I see your hat. Are you guys from Oregon?" And I told him, "No, I'm not from Oregon. My wife is, but we just moved from there about a year ago." And he said he was from Portland, and then I told him exactly where we were in the city. And he was like, "Yeah, we live in Gresham as well." And I was like, where do you guys live at? And he told me his street, and I was like, man, no way. So literally our house was right in the downtown area of the city, and we lived right behind, there was like a margarita factory, and him and his wife literally lived on the next street over. And I told him, man, you probably have walked or even driven by our house multiple times. And so I thought that was, what are the odds of that? I'm in Nashville, he was here on a work trip, runs into a guy that literally lives and that used to live on the street right next to him. I just thought that was pretty crazy. But anyway, found this one at the Goodwill Bins right here in Nashville. It sold for 15 plus $9 shipping, and it probably only costs, let's just say $3. All right, so here are some notable Goodwill Bins finds from this week. This is a Coach, I think it's a Soho mini bag or purse or what have you. But anyway, I did some research on this. I found this at the end of the day yesterday, and typically, like I said, I don't pick up bags, but figured I'd pick it up, looked it up, and I seen that a lot of these sell for somewhere between $100 to $150, which is crazy. And I'm just kind of doing just a little bit of research. It looks to be pretty authentic Definitely gonna double check that, but if so, should be at least $100 conservatively. I've been finding so much team player issue jerseys, jackets, shirts, and in Oregon, I probably found a handful of this kind of stuff in 8 years, and I think just in this 1 year being in Tennessee, I probably found as much stuff as in this 1 year that I found in the whole entire 8 years of thrifting up in Oregon. This right here is it looks like it's probably a shirt that the team would warm up in, because they were promoting like justice, opportunity, freedom, equality. And it's from the LA Chargers. You can see the nameplate right here. Number 83. There's the bolt on the sleeve. And need to do some more research on, obviously there's not going to be really any comp for this exact same shirt, but just like all the other players, stuff that I've kind of researched, I just kind of look at it, kind of see what something similar sold for and kind of go from there. But I think it's always cool to be able to find like team or player issue apparel. This is a Arc'teryx jacket. Found this one at the end of the day yesterday as well. Here's the tag in case you're watching and you don't happen to be familiar with the brand. And this one had a small flaw on the back. That's like a tiny hole, like right near the middle bottom. But again, this brand's pretty strong. I've sold Arc'teryx before that's had minor flaws and doesn't really impact the value that much. This will still be a really good pickup and a really good sale. And this is a New York Yankees jersey. I've literally found this jersey now for the third time in like 60 days. I don't know if there's just a bunch of Yankee fans that just give all their stuff to the Goodwill bins, but this jersey's been in circulation a lot. So this will be an easy, probably a $40 sale, I think that's what they've been going for. And then lastly, this was the very first find that I found yesterday that kind of got me a little bit excited. It was during the first rotation when they first opened. So this is a vintage Washington Redskin. It's the line windbreaker track pants. Here's the lining. Here's the tag. And you can tell that this is from March of 2001. Here's the NFL logo. And football season's going right now, so this will be the perfect time to try to sell these. I think I've seen similar items selling between 50 and 100 just in that price range. I'm not really sure what I'll price these at. All right, so these are a pair of Project Rock Gesture Basic. Well, they're not basic. I mean, it's basically a collaboration with Dwayne Johnson and Under Armour. But these are the Terry sweatpants, and I think that in my personal experience of selling Under Armour, the two best lines that I've had the most luck with is going to be the Project Rock stuff and also Steph Curry stuff. Usually if I find those two brands within Under Armour, they usually move pretty good. I do pick up Under Armour, but a lot of the other stuff, it tends to be slow movers. But if I find it at the bins, I still grab it. These are a little bit heavier, so they probably cost probably somewhere between $2 to $3. They sold for $18 plus shipping. These are just a pair of Outdoor Voices running shorts. Typically, if I find Outdoor Voices, I'll pick it up at the bins. It usually doesn't move that fast for me, but this particular item right here had like a really good sale rate because I forget the name of the exact shorts. But anyway, it's a pretty popular item within this brand. But 50 cents from the Goodwill bins, and they sold under a month for $18 plus shipping. All right, so I don't have a ton of customer service stuff this morning, but I figured I would point this out because this probably could help some people, especially if you're new watching. I started selling on eBay in 2016, and I don't think I found out about this until probably about 2018, so like 2 years later. So if you have a store subscription with eBay, they give you a shipping voucher, I guess, each quarter. And for the premium store, I think it's like $50. So every quarter you get $50 to basically spend on shipping supplies. I typically use my voucher basically for boxes. So the first box I like picking up is the 8x6x4, and usually in those boxes I ship hats. Weird story, when I first started selling, I shipped a hat way back in 2016. I shipped it in just a basic poly mailer. I'll never forget when the hat was delivered, the guy messaged me and said, "Dude, my hat is a freaking pancake. Please refund immediately." And so I just never forgotten that, and so I always ship my hats in the 8x6x4 boxes. This other box I like picking up with my store voucher is this. I'll just pull it out and show you. It's the 16 by 12 by 8, and I love this box because it allows me to put bigger sneakers like size 14, 15. They fit perfectly in this box with a little bit of room to spare. This box also works great with Ground Advantage because if somebody purchases a multiple quantity order from you, maybe they buy 6, 7, 8 items, it fits in here perfectly, and it doesn't really cost a lot because Ground Advantage is usually fairly cheap depending on where it's going. These are a pair of Mamba Rages, and when Kobe first tragically passed away, this was the first pair of Kobe's that I ever purchased for myself, and I wore those for right at the 5-year mark, and my sneaker collection is pretty big now, so I've been going through lately and selling shoes that I just no longer wear. These were a part of that, and one of the main reasons is because I have really sensitive feet, and these just kind of hurt. And so I sold mine for like 60 bucks. Probably like 3 months ago. I only paid, it's kind of crazy, you can wear something and resell them for 5 years and then turn around and sell it for basically what you pay for it. I think I only bought these for like 75. But anyway, I say all that to say I found these same exact shoes down at the Goodwill bins in Nashville probably like 2 months ago, and figured I would clean them up a little bit. They weren't really that dirty, and they sold within the 60-day period for I believe 50 plus shipping. Alright y'all, so this is where I'm going to cut the video off at. I need to run to a close, get these items shipped, as I always say before my mailman gets here. So I appreciate you guys for coming along with me. If you got even the smallest thing out of the video, like it, consider subscribing to the channel. I'll catch you guys right back here on the next video, and until then, succeed.